I think having a good mentor played a key part in your clinical trials experience. And I know you still work closely with Emma Ciafaloni, another child neurologist here at the medical center. How did you how did you start working with Dr. Ciafaloni?
I I really liked the patients she was seeing. Nobody actually before I joined our pediatric neuromuscular group, nobody else was seeing pediatric neuromuscular patients. So those are the kids with spinal muscular atrophy and Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And I was actually doing training in neurogenetics at the time, but I was really interested in neurogenetic therapies. And the time, again, serendipity, the time aligned that while I was in my like sort of last year of training, therapies for the neuromuscular genetic disorders like SMA and Duchenne was just like exploding. And so any chance I got, I would want to see those patients. And so I would go to her clinic. And she and many of us are people who like when somebody like if you love what you do, if somebody who's junior to you, a med student, a resident, shows interest in what you're doing and wants to potentially do what you're doing, I think that's really exciting. um, and so I think Emma caught wind of that or felt that. I don't know how she couldn't because I was always there. Um, and I think that really kind of grew into a very strong mentor-mentee relationship.
Yeah, you kind of hinted at not necessarily stalking Emma, but intentionally inserting yourself
Yeah.
into the work you wanted to be part of. How do you do that respectively and effectively? I think part of it too is probably, like you said, if someone more senior sees someone younger interested in something, it's just exciting in general. But if somebody wants to kind of insert themselves into another area or work they want to be part of, how do you go about that?
Yeah, you don't want to, I think the important thing is again showing that motivation and interest, and but also being reliable. So, I wasn't just like letting her know like I'm gonna be here and then not showing up or, I really and I was doing my own work on the back end, right? I didn't completely rely on her to give me all the information and teach me everything about SMA and Duchenne. Some of that, like, sat on me and I would read. And that's how I also knew I was interested as I was spending my time reading on SMA and Duchenne and the therapies because I found that so exciting. And I think that, again, naturally that just evolved into a good relationship. And I wanted, um, when she kind of gave me some early ideas for little manuscripts or projects, I followed through on those things, and I think that helps too.
And anything else you can speak to toward why your relationship sort of still works so well today?
I think that one of the biggest things is that um, I, I guess I was lucky in that she is the kind of person who measures her own success by the success of her mentees. And that is such like a special quality to have in a mentor. Because I think there are lots of successful people in different areas of medicine, in research, etc. And not all people will, and many of those people like mentor younger faculty. But she has this really like great ability to know and share. Like um, she's very good at sponsoring her mentees. So if she's asked to do something that would be good for a junior faculty's sort of career trajectory, she would very easily hand that off and recommend that person to do that instead. And I think that is, I think that a lot of people have that quality, but that is one of those things that you really want to try to find in a mentor. And of my mentors, she's not the only one who does this. And sometimes mentors will show you their like, when I did my neurogenetics fellowship, I was the first person. There was none before me, and so I relied very heavily on the neurogeneticists who were here. There were two of them to agree and want to be part of that training program. And I think they could have easily been like, sure, and then and not followed through on all of that. But I had really, really strong mentorship through my neurogenetics fellowship training. And this was added hours onto what were already doing. And so I'm really just very grateful for all of my mentors. I often speak a lot about Emma, but I have many other mentors. I think, yeah, U of R is just full of really strong mentors.